So when I was in high school, I had a friend, a really good friend, whose mom I saw regularly. And something that she said when we were in high school has stuck with me into adulthood. Now, mind you, I'm 30 years old now, so it's been a while since I've been in high school, but that's the impact of what she said and how it affected me from being a teenager into my adulthood. And I don't remember what the exact conversation was or what in context she was saying this in, but she said that when you can't be used, you're useless. And this is probably something that other people maybe have heard. I'm not really sure how popular of a phrase it is or if it's something that she came up with, but that was the first and only time I've ever heard it. And it made me really look at myself in the way I do things differently and also other people that I have around me. Because I think face value, when you hear you can't be used, you're useless, you think that, or at least I thought that at the time, why would I want to be used? You don't want to be used. When you hear people talk about being used, it's always in a negative way. So you think of, someone only being around you because of what sort of things it can get them or what sort of access they have because of you, and pretty much them just taking from you and not giving anything, them just being around you for ulterior motives and not it actually being a genuine connection. But I think the reason why, and that's what I thought when I was a teenager. I think now, and as I've gotten older, the meaning of what she said plays a whole different role in my life now because I understand how important it is to be useful and have useful people around you. And when I say that, I mean that when you can be used for any reason, it makes you an asset versus a liability in anyone's life because you're adding to the situation rather than taking from it. And I think that when you are an asset, of course, there's going to be people who you have to weed out that may just be around for the sake of using you for what you have to offer instead of using you as a beneficial part of their life genuinely and caring about your well-being and wanting to also add to your life as well. And so, and it can be the simple things. When I say being an asset, it can be anything from being the person in the group that makes everyone laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. It honestly can change your entire day when something makes you smile, when something makes you laugh. So that is an asset. That's one of the simpler things you can do to be thought of as an asset in someone's life. Being funny, making them laugh, making them smile. It could also be you're the person in the group who knows really good music and you're always putting people on to really good music. Or maybe you like the same things another person likes, and so you are an asset to them because they get to share those likes with someone else instead of doing it by themselves. That's the simple way to be useful or to be an asset in someone's life, or a simple way to be used. Because at the end of the day, we're all using each other. And that's just something that we have to accept. We're all using each other in many different ways for various different reasons. Some of us, when you have a friendship with somebody, when you have a relationship with somebody, or even your family, everyone brings something to the table that we find useful. It could be any of the things I just named. It could be you have more knowledge about a certain subject than everyone else. So, your knowledge is useful to people. Or you have connections that other people don't have because maybe your line of work or just because of the person that you are. And that's useful to people. It is. But you still have to use your power of discernment to know who's around you because of the things that you have and the ways that you can improve their situation, or people that are just genuinely around you And so you guys give and take. This is what you have to offer, so you bring that to the table. They have something else to offer, and you just, it's a regular relationship. We all give and take. But I think further than that, what people need to look at outside of what they can get from somebody else and how somebody else is useful is, what do you bring to the table? How are you useful? Are you able to be used? Because I think a lot of people would say yes to that question, even though they should be saying no. I think a lot of people think they bring more to the table than they do. I think a lot of people think that they give more than they do. And I think that when you stop and think about, at least if you're giving to the people in your life, what you're expecting from the people in your life. And that's a great way to start with finding out if you are useful and if you're bringing things to the table. Are you at least giving what you want back? Because I think a lot of people want more than they're willing to give. And I think in their mind, they are giving what they want, but they're not realizing that that's just in your mind. You're thinking that you give more than you do because to you, you're giving all that you got. You're spread thin with work and family and whatever else you got going on. So I'm giving what I have left to give. But that's not what you have left to give may not be useful because you're only giving scraps at that point. If you're going to show up for somebody, you have to show up fully. And if you're going to make yourself useful, you have to be completely useful. What good is a screwdriver if it can only take a screw out halfway? And so I think that we have to stop and ask ourselves these questions. What do we bring to the table in relationships? Instead of focusing on what another person is giving to us, what are you giving? Because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people get caught up in thinking that they're great friends or they're great lovers in relationships. And they think that because, like I said, they're giving what they believe is all they have to give. Instead of looking at the situation like, can I give more? What does this person even want from me? Do you even know what the person is looking for from you to know if you're even giving them what they are expecting from you or what they need from you? And if you're not, are you willing to give more? Or are you accepting the fact that this is all I have to give, so that's just what you're going to get from me? Because at the end of the day, I think we'd all want to be called useful rather than useless. I know I do. And once I was able to really grow and mature and recognize what my friend's mom was saying by saying that if you can't be used, you're useless, it really put into perspective for me that I got to know who I am as a person. I got to know what I have to offer. I got to know what I bring to the table. And I got to make sure what I'm bringing to the table is valuable. Because at the end of the day, it's like that saying that says, when you're confident and you know what you bring to the table, you'll be okay eating alone. And that's so true. That is so true. Because at the end of the day, when you know that you have so much to offer and you're around people who may not see or recognize what you have to offer and they take what you have to offer for granted until they see someone else reaping the benefits of it, and then they want to pop up and, wonder, be mad at the next person you're hanging out with because they appreciate you for who you are and what you bring to the table, and more than the next person ever could. I feel like we just get so lost in trying to take and not so worried about giving to each other. So many people just want their cups to be filled. They don't want to pour into anyone else's cup if they think it's going to take away from theirs. And I think that we have to change that whole perspective in so many different ways, because we have to make sure that we are giving back to the people in our lives. We also have to make sure that what we're giving can be used, is useful. Do they even want what I have to give? And if they don't, is it because they're ungrateful, or is it because what I'm giving is not useful? And I need to shift my way of thinking and believing that me giving anything should be valued because I'm giving it. And start thinking like, I want to show up. I want to bring something to the table that everybody can use. I want to be that person that walks in the room, and by the time I'm walking out, at least one person in this room is changed because of what I brought to the table. And it can be simple. I told a joke, made them laugh. I was a listening ear, they got something off their chest. I gave them some knowledge about something they didn't know about, now they know. It can be anything. On a deeper level, if you think about relationships, relationships are one big give and take, or at least they're supposed to be. Because if you even think about relationships, we use each other in relationships, probably more than any other relationship in our lives. I think a romantic relationship is where you get used and where you use the most. Because if you think about it, why would you even be dating someone if they didn't give you the things that you wanted from them? Whether that be intimacy, whether it be sex, whether it be communication, whatever it is, you are expecting them to give something to you, and they are expecting you to give something to them. And if you don't give those things to them, if you're not equipped with the tools to be able to make that relationship work, you're useless. And that's why people break up. Well, that's one of the reasons why people break up. It's one of the reasons why people stop being friends. It's one of the reasons why people outgrow relationships as well. You're no longer useful. But when you know how to evolve and always try to grow, you're always going to be useful because you're always going to be learning new things. You're always going to know how to adapt to when, okay, we were friends when we were 25, now we're 35. Things are going to be different, but I'm still useful now because I know more and can provide more than I could have when I was 25. So I'm still useful regardless. But some people stop being useful. And that's why I feel like you can outgrow people, because you are useful at this point in my life and you're just not useful in my life anymore. I've dealt with that before. It's a hard pill to swallow. I feel like I still deal with that now because life always evolves. Life always changes. And I'd like to think that I'm a forever evolving person. And I think that when you're around people who don't give you what you need in a relationship, because maybe they think, I gave you what you needed in a relationship when I knew you then, but now I need something different from you, and you're not willing to give that to me, so you're no longer useful to me. And I know that that sounds kind of harsh, but when you really think about it, what is the point if someone is no longer useful to you to even have them around? And I don't mean useful to you in a way where you're using them, not in that way at all, but in any way. If you don't bring anything to the table, you are literally just taking from me. And before I allow myself to be empty, I'm just going to go where my cup gets filled and not just drained. Because at the end of the day, if you can't be used, you're useless.